Hi, I'm Vivian the Knitter.
And I'm Alyson the Crocheter, and this is the Keep Calm and Carry Yarn podcast.
Thank you so much for joining us for episode 111 of the Keep Calm and Carry On podcast. This is a knitting and crocheting podcast brought to you by me, Vivian, and my daughter, Alyson. I'm recording from Michigan.
And I'm recording from Scotland. You might also know me as the publisher of Moraine, the independent magazine for crocheters, and my mom is the brilliant maker behind Pearl and Plum, where she makes and sells project bags for knitters and crocheters. So thanks so much for joining us, whether you're listening on a podcast app or watching along on YouTube. Hey everyone.
Hello.
Well, after...
I feel like I'm out of practice.
I was going to say, we've had 2 episodes where we've been together in a row, I think. I always, on YouTube, if anybody has noticed, I put all the episodes where we're in the same room together in one playlist. So I think I've called it our Together Again playlist. So there's actually quite a few from the last, few months of us together. It makes it seem like we're constantly just like flying over to see each other. Also, we've just been putting out slightly less than normal episodes, so that's affected how many we are together as well. I've also made my annual pilgrimage from the usual spot in my room to a different spot in the room, because now that the light is changing, it's getting dark, like the sun is lower, it comes right into the room and casts funny shadows, so I have to move somewhere else.
Yeah. We're also at a funny time of year where if we do it too late, or too early, I don't have sun. The sun hasn't even risen here yet. And then if we do it too late, the sun is setting here on your side. So
yeah.
So that's.
Do you have a ring light?
I do.
You
Why?
don't. You do.
I don't have it on.
You don't.
I do.
But you have one. Yeah, I have one too. So we could do that.
But the problem with the ring light is that when I'm wearing my glasses, you could really see it. It's like these little white circles, and then you go like this, and then the rings go like. So I'm not sure. I'll just have to not wear my glasses if we use the ring light.
I mean, I would still wear my glasses. You would just have to deal with that. My weird demon white eyes. Anyway, so thanks for joining us. I think we have a special thank you as well. A little shout out.
Do you want to read it, since it's a crocheter that said hello on our Ravelry board?
Sure. Lexi said hello on Ravelry. She's in Nebraska and she's been listening to us for a few months, so thanks for that. And she mentioned specifically our Babble casts. I don't think we've called it that in a while, but basically, our rambling on and on. But she's also a Hufflepuff, as am I. So,
yay.
So hi, Lexi. Thanks for saying hi. And I'm glad we've inspired you to try making crocheted garments as well.
Yeah. That's always exciting. Mm-hmm. To move from, stuffies and blankets and then starting to make garments. It's a big jump.
Yeah, I was vending at a yarn show, which I'll mention later this weekend, and a few people I talked to who are really excited about the magazine, who hadn't heard about it yet, hadn't started making garments yet, but they were kind of ready for that next stuff. And I think just seeing, the magazine and nice garments that they would actually want to make, just kind of inspired them. So that was always really nice to hear.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay,
we jump into some crafty stuff?
Yes. Do you have any whips?
I do. It's an old one that I haven't mentioned in a while. It's the Moraine Lake Cowl by DJ Poolet. And so I'm doing it in I've just undone some stitches because I didn't actually put a stitch marker in. Here we go. So this is the one that I'm doing in a cream and a sort of speckled hot pink. Not my colors, really. The hot pink's not really my colors.
I don't even remember that.
I'm sure I've mentioned it before. Maybe when I wasn't very far. This is using the yarn which you had bought me in Florida, the Dream Color to Life Smushy with Cashmere. So super soft because it's 70% merino and 20% cashmere, 10% nylon, and hand dyed in the States. We got that at Sheep Thrills in Florida. I only have the
I remember
tag.
buying that.
Yeah, I have the tag for the, I assume is the cream colored one. It's just called Tumbleweed. I don't know what the pink one's called. But it's a very, like, overall hot pink, but there's, like, lots of other colors. There's, like, blue. There's like a dark green even, orange, red, yellow,
I'm surprised you ended up with the pink, because I don't remember it being pink. I remember buying you the cashmere yarn, but I don't remember that being pink.
Yeah, I bought the pink. I don't know. I just really liked the way all the colors work together. I think this is one of the things that I'm going to have to reconcile myself with at some point, is just not giving in to the color temptation, because I just don't wear these colors. But that's, you can see the colors, like, it is overall pink, but there's so many other colors. I just thought it worked really well together, and it just seemed, I don't know, is appetizing the right word? But it was just so appealing. I just,
well,
I got it.
We do say that sometimes we do describe yarn as being yummy, so
yeah, I think some people hate when people do that, like, ooh, gross. Anyway, so this is a crocheted cowl, and it's done in, like, different sections where you change the colors, so it goes kind of like from cream to pink to cream to pink to cream to pink. And the sort of main stitch of the cream is a nice sort of textured stitch. It almost has the sort of, like, knit look, because you're doing the single crochets in a round.
It looks kind of like my broken seed stitch.
Yeah, so you're actually working some stitches into 2 rows below instead of just the 1 row below, so you get the taller V's, so and they really stand out. Yeah, so it's quite textured. And then I think that first section has a sort of, I think some people call it like a coin stitch, and there's some, like, slip stitches. And I've just finished a section of just plain single crochets, and that's going to have some of the at the end, using the cream, because the plain stitches are done in pink, cream to, like, embroider a sort of pattern on, like sort of a cross-stitched pattern almost, using the grid of the single crochet stitches.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I think
how
it's just,
tall will it get?
I'm pretty much, I think this middle plain bit is the halfway mark.
Oh, okay.
So that's half. So I'm just over halfway. I might see if one of my friends wants it at the end, because I don't know.
You're gonna give up your cashmere yarn.
I know. Okay, I'll wear it. I'll wear it a few times. I don't know. Maybe there's not too much pink. You know, it could be like the pop of color. I think because it's with the cream, I could still wear my black jacket and my dark clothes, and then just have this,
and your navies and stuff.
Yeah. No, actually, no. I think I could.
That works.
And it does look like nice with this outfit, even just with the navy. The navy shirt, which actually, do you know what? This, I feel like navy shirt kind of really made my assigned color pooling shawl kind of pop, because it was the same navy. So this navy has convinced me of a lot of things, apparently. So that is what I'm working on the moment, and other than that, I'm working on stuff for potential design for more, which I can't talk about. So I am working on crocheting other things. I just can't talk about it. So what about you?
I have my Suburban wrap by Locatelli.
And is this a new one?
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I started it before our trip to Rhinebeck, but I didn't want to bring it with me because I had, limited room. Yeah. So I didn't talk about it yet. But yeah, so I've gotten quite a bit done in the last, I guess, month. Because I pretty much started it right after our last 2 episodes ago.
So it's a shawl?
It is a shawl wrap, but it's long. It's not a triangle. Okay, so it's like, more like a big giant arrow.
Big giant arrow. So it's not a rectangle though.
No, because it's got a point at one end and what's the opposite of a point? An arrow at the other end.
Yeah. Oh. So wait, but the sides are straight, yeah.
Yeah.
Like the long side. Okay, so it's a big chevron, arrow. Just one chevron.
Oh yeah, chevron, yeah. But it's got like these multiple different bands. So I started out with it's done in 3 colors, and I have a hot pink, like a variegated and a light blue, and so it started out with a lace panel, and then I striped with the pink and the variegated, and then a variegated eyelets, and then a texture panel with the blue, and then and then it goes opposite, and I had more striping. So I have a few more bands to go after this. I just started.
So after the stripe, does it do the lace again, or no?
So this is the lace in the variegated, and then I think there's more textures and more stripes.
Okay.
And yeah.
Nice.
So I am liking the patterns. Hohi does a really good job with her patterns and her explanations.
Where's the yarn from?
The yarn is from, I bought it when I was still living in Virginia. It's Urban Girl Knits, and it's a Virginia-based dyer. And I think the pink is actually called Virginia. I don't remember what
the
the
hot
other
pink.
ones are called.
It looks more. I don't know if it's just the camera, but it looks almost like a raspberry. Or is it more like a hot pink?
Yeah, I guess it could be more of a raspberry than a hot pink.
Yeah.
It looks a little bit brighter in person than on the screen you're looking at.
Right. You don't know what you can't see my screen. You're looking at your screen.
I can't. I'm looking at my screen. The screen that our FaceTime screen.
Yeah, but you don't necessarily. I'm just saying you don't necessarily know what my screen looks like, but it probably looks similar to your screen.
That's true. So it'll be a nice length. I can wrap it around my shoulders.
Yeah.
Your
head. Yeah. Nice.
Or my head, yeah. So I'm super happy with this. I'm trying to knit stuff in my stash. And then also the Folklore cardigan by Amy Gunderson. Is that who it is? Yeah. So I'm going to knit the body in one piece.
Oh yeah.
Seemed like a great idea. But it's slow going. It's very slow going.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've made progress. I did a whole pattern repeat so far.
Yeah. I mean, you can see what it's going to be. Like, you can see the cable starting to form, and yeah, it's going to be a cardigan.
Yes. Yeah, so this
or
is
a lap
like
blanket.
Yeah, if I make it into a big giant square, which I'm not, at some point you get to the armpits, I'll have to start. That's where the hard part.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'll have to
try to visualize that.
Well, it's before I get to the armpits, I'm gonna have to start the
V
neck
for
decreases, I think.
For the button band.
For the button
or the neck hole.
I can't remember. Or maybe it's after I start. So after I do the armpits, and then it's gonna be separate. So I might just do like.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, this one side, the front side, left. What is this? My right side, left side, and then the back separately because it's not connected anymore.
Does it have armhole shaping, or is it literally just rectangles?
It's just straight. It's just there's no armhole shaping because it's drop shoulder.
Right.
It's a.
So what happens if
boxy?
What happens if the V neck starts below the armpit holes? What would you have to do?
Separate in the middle. I don't think that happens though.
Okay, well, that's good.
I mean, it's already separate. I mean, it's not the front is not attached. So
that's true. That's true. You would just have to start doing your decreases.
The V,
or whatever
decreases.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, it was more complicated in my head, but yeah, no, I understand now.
Yeah, so maybe I'll finish it the middle of next year.
Yeah.
But it's hard. It's one of those things that it's not very portable. So
yeah,
and plus
and you have to concentrate. It's not like even if it was portable.
I don't have to super concentrate because the pattern repeats are the same for pretty much for each panel, right? So it's this except for like Yeah, except for the sides where there's, you have more. Yeah, it's pretty much the same.
Okay, yeah.
So, and and then of course the pearl, the back side, you're just purling the pearls and knitting the knits, so you don't have to really concentrate on the bag. That's like a resting row.
I see.
And then yeah, so it's not too bad. It's just that between how big it is, and then I still have to have the pattern with me to keep track of like which row I'm on.
Yeah.
And stuff. But I can usually go like 4 rows before I have to check.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, at least after all that work, because you've already made one, you like it, and like, yeah. Are you making the same size as what Madeline has, or smaller?
Yeah, pretty much. Because I really liked how comfy it was, and the oversizedness. I could just like wear it, over a sweatshirt or just around the house or whatever.
Yeah. Cool. Nice.
Yeah. So that's it.
Cool. Will we do our BuzzFeed quiz?
Yeah, sure.
So it's called "Everyone has a classic fall item that describes them to a T. Eat a huge feast to reveal your match." Also, it took me a second when I was reading this. The phrase "to a T," they spelled it out as "to," the letter A, the letter T. What is it supposed to be? To a T, like a golf tee?
I don't know.
I don't know either. What does that phrase actually mean? Does anybody know? Somebody knows. I'll look it up later. Or somebody can tell me in the comments if you know. What does that actually mean? Anyway.
I have no idea. That's just
so what is your
phrases.
Classic fall item that describes you?
Is hot coffee. You're classy, kind, and comforting. You always seem to have it together, and everyone knows they can come to you for the best advice.
Oh,
okay,
I like
sure,
that. Okay, I feel like...
But, wait. It says you always seem to have it together. But you don't really. Just from the outside.
So I got...
What'd you get?
Pile of leaves. The description is better than that, but it's just like pile of leaves. You're like a pile of leaves. You're fun, adventurous, and lovable. You like to take risks and try new things, and you've never met a stranger. I don't know about that because I'm not a huge like extrovert, but yeah, I would say I'm fun, adventurous, and lovable, and like to try new things.
Yeah, you do like to try new things, and with the whole magazine thing, you did take that big risk, so that's
yeah.
So there's that. So I guess
who knew you could spin that pile of leaves into a good thing?
We were just talking about the pile of leaves, like the first time when we first moved to upstate New York. You were in 2nd grade. Your sister was in kindergarten, and then I had, raked. Your dad had never seen a pile of leaves like that because he grew up in California. And then so I'm raking all the leaves into one pile, and I let you like roll around in it, and then of course you have to rake it back because you guys make a mess. And he's like, oh, he gave up, and he just went back inside. I'm not doing this anymore. So that was a lot of fun. Okay.
So the huge feast is a rainbow.
Oh, that's right.
Feast.
We have to.
So like for each question, it was like pick a green food, pick a red food, pick an orange food. So we can just do a few of them.
Okay.
Some of the more interesting ones. Oh, what about? What red food did you pick? Between pepperoni pizza, red velvet cake, spaghetti, or tomato soup?
I actually went with a tomato soup. Kind of boring. Yeah.
I went for spaghetti because I love pasta. That's not... I picked another answer. I picked the pasta option as well. I'm just really... I feel like the last year or so, I've been in a really savory carbs. I mean, I guess pizza as well. But if I had to pick between pasta and pizza, I'll usually pick pasta.
I did not pick the spaghetti because spaghetti is probably my least favorite of the pastas, so I didn't pick it. But the green, I did pick the pesto pasta. That looks so good.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that one. Pesto pasta, yeah. I picked avocado toast for that one because I'm a millennial.
What about what?
Pink food?
Pink food.
Yeah, this was really random. It was cotton candy, raspberry rose souffle, strawberry milkshake, or strawberry yogurt pretzels.
Strawberry milkshake.
I went really fancy. I went for raspberry rose souffle. Because I think that's the kind of thing that if I was at a fancy restaurant and that was on the menu, I'd be like, oh, I'll try that.
I want to try that, yeah.
Yeah. Although, rose isn't my favorite flavor, but...
Purple food?
The only savory option, spicy eggplant.
I did the same thing.
Yeah.
Because that's been like my... I've been wanting to have like spicy or some kind of eggplant dish whenever we go to a Chinese or Asian restaurant, and I've been 2 for 2. Like the last 2 places we went to, they didn't have any, so I was very upset. So I guess.
Wait, just test my Chinese. It's eggplant is 茄子.
Yeah, 茄子.
Nice, Alyson. I don't know what ube tastes like, because ube cheesecake was an option.
Is ube...
Is that a type of potato? Oh, maybe.
I think it's
something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I'm assuming ube is taro, and I'm not. I'll eat it, in its different renditions, but as a cheesecake, it didn't sound very appetizing to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then the final one.
Rainbow food? Oh. I basically didn't even look at it. I just went for sushi.
That's what I did. I'm always gonna pick the sushi if that was the option.
Well, the other options, rainbow latte and rainbow cookies, that feels like a cheat because it's like, that's just cookie and latte that you've added color to. Fruit tart, I do like a fruit tart. So if I was in a sweet mood, I'd pick a fruit tart. Cool.
Yeah. Oh, I would always pick the sushi. The last time we tried to have sushi, we went to the restaurant not knowing that, they're not open for lunch on Sundays. So I was very disappointed. And we
no
still
sushi, no eggplant.
No sushi, no eggplant. So
yeah.
Okay. FOs. Do you have any FOs?
I do. I made another hat.
Oh, is this your win hat?
So no, I already finished my win hat. I talked about that, didn't I?
Maybe, I don't know. I'm already forgotten. Okay.
I think I did. Now you're making me not sure. Yes, because I finished it at Rhinebeck.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So this is the twist to the classic beanie, and I think it's made by Fossbus Designs. Susanna Biaye. But yeah, I think like all her Instagram handles and stuff is FOSBAS. So it is just a beanie, and it's got like, it's done sideways, so you can do the like a sort of
the
wavy stitch, and it's just like pretty much the same all the way down. So you turn up the bottom for a band. It's not a cuff, it's on your head. What is it? Brim.
The
yeah.
brim?
Yeah.
The brim.
The brim,
not the rim.
So the brim is folded over, but it's not like a rib. It's just done in the same wavy pattern. But it's available for free, or you can buy the PDF, which has no ads, because it's just free on her blog. And so it's just done with half double crochets, I take it back, double crochets, and then you do some into the back loop to get like the sort of ridge along the
double
waves.
UK double?
US double.
Oh, okay.
And there is a little bit of like attempt at shaping at the crown. You go to half double crochets and then single crochets, but I don't think there's enough. So when it came down to cinching it, I found it quite difficult, and it does like pucker. which is fine. I think some amount of puckering is okay. But there's maybe a little bit more than what I would have. Although I did overestimate how big my head was. So I'd like made it quite wide and I put it on. I was like, this feels too loose. Like obviously it fit my head, but it was too loose. So then I took out 2 rows and then I sewed it back together, or, you know, I joined back together, cinched it. I was like, no, this is still too big. And I had to undo another 2 rows. So now I think it's better. And also when I had it at its biggest, the cinching was even more difficult. So I think if I were to do it again, I would add a bit more shaping at the ends. Personally. Oh, that's and the good. Yarn I used is
it Rhinebeck yarn?
It is Rhinebeck yarn, which I hadn't mentioned in the previous episode because it was gifted to me to test out. And so this is from Wool Dreamers. So I think they're kind of based in Spain and the US, but basically this is their Mota yarn, M-O-T-A, and they collect yarn that's basically the leftovers, the waste from the Manchego cheese industry. So Manchego cheese is a sheep cheese, and they're not particularly interested in the wool. So Wool Dreamers takes the wool from the dairy sheep. Would you call them dairy sheep? I don't know. Yes. To turn it into yarn, and it's like a little bit rustic, but it's still quite soft. And of note, this particular line of yarn has a Z twist, so that's particularly good for certain crochet because you get a tighter stitch definition. So I think it worked really well for this hat. I did try to use a different yarn with a Z twist to make cables, but it didn't really work. I think making it tighter and then having those cables be, especially with the front post stitches, really like defined didn't really help the cable, and I think it made it almost too stiff. But for something like this, where it's just sort of a simple pattern and you just want to be able to see those waves, I think it worked really well.
So yeah, I like it. Yeah, I ended up, after we got home from Rhinebeck, I ordered a sweater's worth of that yarn because it didn't have enough in the color to make a sweater for you.
Yes. Yeah, I picked a very cheerful brown color for that sweater, and this is just a natural sort of light gray color. The hat, I mean. So yeah, that's my info. You?
Well, it's a very hat heavy episode.
Yeah.
So I have an FO, and it was actually an FO at the last episode, but I forgot to pull it out of my suitcase. I brought it all away with me, and then I completely forgot about it. This is the Bonnie Isle hat by who?
Checks notes. Stage direction. Bonnie Isle hat. Don't know if you've put it in the notes.
No, I think I forgot to put it in notes. But
okay,
it's
you
by Linda
keep talking
Shearer.
about it and I'll look it up.
It's by Linda Shearer, and it's the Shetland Wool Week hat this year.
From this year?
So from this year. So it's got anchors and waves and... Wait, did we talk about this? No, I'm feeling like we did.
You have talked about it before because you didn't like the way the brim...
But not as an FO. I didn't talk about it as an FO.
No, not as an FO.
Okay, so it's got. I did block it did block out the corrugated ribbing here, and then there's some on the edge. So it's not doing that thing anymore because I blocked it out. Yeah. But yeah, so it's very pastel-y, the colors that I
feel like. Wait. That must be yarn left over from something else?
Yes, it's just leftover sock yarn from different projects.
The colors feel familiar.
Yeah, they are. And from different hats too. Like I've used this color combination for the Hello Goodbye hat. And yeah, so it's just, another hat.
Nice.
And so I'm happy with this. It's perfect for like this kind of weather right now, where it's not super cold right now outside. Because I didn't use like a Shetland wool, and it's not that thick.
Right.
You know? And I started another anthology hat. I started and finished it all in a day's time. So this is also leftover
from the sweater
yarn.
You made for Verna.
For Verna. It's it's these colors. I can't remember what it's called. But it's the yarn is it's just Cascade 220 superwash.
In
merino.
Purple and pink, which matches your purple and pink jumper that you're wearing now.
Yeah, a little bit. So I made this for a friend.
So what is it? So when you say anthology hat,
Anthology is the name of the pattern.
Oh, I see.
And it's more of a hat recipe than a hat pattern.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so it's by TinCan.
Okay, will you put it on again for a second? Just so I can see it again. And then you can carry on talking.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's by TinCan Knits, and she's got different charts that you can choose for the body of the hat.
I see.
So I made one in the same yarn. It must have been last year. But
same
with
pattern or different pattern?
Different pattern, same yarn.
Okay. So the pattern is sort of like...
They're kind of like chevrons.
But like interlocking?
Yeah.
Upside down interlocking? I don't really know, yeah. Uh-huh. They almost look like... The pink ones at the bottom almost look like hearts. Yeah. Yeah. And then the purple ones would, I guess, then be like upside down hearts that are slightly offset. Yeah. But yeah, when you said you made another anthology hat, I was like, I don't remember that hat. What is it?
Well, I didn't make this specific hat. I made another anthology hat with the same yarn. If I show you the picture, you'll go, oh yeah, that's the hat that you made.
Same yarn, different colors?
Same yarn, different color combination.
Right.
Oh, shoot.
Okay, I was gonna say, in my head, I was thinking, was it the coins one? And that's kind of got little coins.
Yeah, it does have some of the coins. So I kind of picked and chose like the different charts. And for this hat, actually, she doesn't have like these specific chart. I mean, there's a chart for these like mountains and the chart for these V's. And then the other ones, she has a hat that looks like that. So I just looked at the picture and just went by what the picture instead of like looking at the chart. Because I really like how I might do this again. I really like this combination with different colors. If I do it again, yeah.
Nice.
So, and
are you gonna keep that hat, or are you gonna give it to?
No, I actually specifically made this for a friend.
For a friend.
The other hat I gave to my sister because that matched her sweater, and then I had so much yarn left. So I gotta just make another hat, and this one is for a friend. I see.
Lots of hats.
So, yeah, lots of hats, and I'll probably start another one because especially with the sweater that I'm making, sometimes I just need a break, but a short break, because I don't want that to turn into a, what do you call it, a UFO.
Oh yeah, an unfinished objects.
Lingering in the bottom of my closet somewhere under the bed or whatever.
Yeah. Fair.
Okay. You said you have some yarny bits and bobs for us?
Yeah, I have some yarny bits and bobs. I was vending at the Glasgow School of Yarn last weekend, Halloween weekend. And so that's, as the name suggests, in Glasgow. It's hosted by Antje, who owns the Yarn Cake, which is a yarn shop / cafe in Glasgow. I haven't actually been to the Yarn Cake yet, but judging from, well, Antje's a sweetie. She's lovely. And I tried some of their cakes that weekend, and it was delicious. It was an apple crumble cake. That's what they called it, I think. But it was just like a really light, I don't know if it's just like a plain vanilla-y type of sponge cake at the bottom with a layer of apple and then a sort of crumble top, as if it was on a crumble. And it was just so good. I don't know what I was expecting, but it was just better than I was even imagining. It was a really good cake. So yeah, I've ended at that. I sponsored the yarn show. So there was a few different rooms. It was at the Trades Hall, which is a very grand building right in the middle of Glasgow. It's only like a 5-10 minute walk from Glasgow Queen Street Station, which is an easy train station to get to from Edinburgh. So you're right in the middle of the city. And the Grand Hall is like one of the main rooms for the vendors, but there's a few side rooms. And then on top there's the cafe at ground level. And just off the cafe, there was a room that I was vending in. And as I was a sponsor, it was dubbed the Muret Lounge. And I was vending in there with Susan, who runs the Journal of Scottish Yarns. So it was a sort of room for the magazines, publications. And we help each other out quite a lot at shows. She kindly took all my stuff and me to the show to set up because my usual chauffeur, aka my husband, was not here. But it's funny because we can kind of upsell each other's magazines. We know quite a lot about each other's magazines, and we sort of took over the lounge room and put our samples on one end. Kind of, it was all near each other, and her sister comes to help her at the show, and her sister knows quite a lot about my magazine as well. And yeah, it's just nice to be able to help each other. And the one single purchase I made, didn't buy any yarn, was from Susan's stand. She was selling Christmas cards. So she'd commissioned a illustrator to make these illustrations of different sheep breeds, and she adapted a couple of them into Christmas cards. So you got the Cheviot wearing little like red reindeer antler headband thing. That one, I think this is my favorite of the two. And then you've got a black Hebridean with a tangle of Christmas lights on its horns and on the ground. So I just bought a pack of that because they were just super cute. And so our postage stamps are being changed with the new king. So any old stamps that still have the queen on it have to be either used by the end of the year or we can trade them at the post office. So since we have some, I thought we'll just send out some Christmas cards this year. And then I found these and I was like, I know which Christmas cards I'm going to be sending out. They're just super cute. And I think she'll be putting them on her website as well at some point.
So when we're in Perth, was it the second issue that was coming out that hadn't come out yet?
Yeah, she had some samples from her couple samples from her second issue. I think she's taking pre-orders for her second issue now, and it's coming out at the end of this month.
Oh, okay. Because I really like that cow sweater, the Highland cow.
Sylvia designed.
Yeah,
with the Highland cow. Yeah, the issue also has a knitted Highland cow, like little toy in it.
Okay.
But so one of my other accomplishments of the weekend was I made an Instagram reel, where I went around the whole show and to each vendor to see if they had any crocheted samples and then asked them if I could model it and take a video for a reel, and then I put them all together. So it wasn't all of the samples I found because some vendors had more than one crochet sample. So I picked one crochet sample from each one stand that I found that had one and just modeled a bit. And I've never done a reel that was that popular, so that was like, whew. I mean, it paid off the feeling silly.
So wait, who taped it or who filmed it for you?
Sam was filming it for me. Yeah, so I just had him. I was like, right, just film, and I'm just gonna do a bunch of things, and just don't stop filming until I tell you to stop. So I would just like dance around, jump around, be a bit silly. And I was like, okay, that's enough. And I wouldn't even look at it until it was time to put it all together, and then I just had a look just to find the bits of each that seemed the least awkward. But one of the pieces I modeled was one of Susan's crocheted pieces in issue 2, which I think a couple people were asking about in the reel.
The one with the little granny squares on the bottom?
Yeah, granny squares on the bottom.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, super cute.
I recognized it.
And then I spotted a couple vendors, yarn dyers had samples from previous issues of Muret done up in their yarns. So Edelweiss had a version of Nebula from issue 3, a sort of smaller version. So I don't know if she's used slightly less yarn or just had a different tension. But it was in a sort of light colors, and that was nice and very fluffy and nice. And Ammo Yarns had a very bright, zingy blue version of the Windrose tank top from issue 2. So I modeled those as well. So yeah,
cool.
that's my yarn.
You look very cute. I showed your dad the video. He's like, oh. This is the kid when you were taking dance class when you were very a preschooler.
Is this the mermaid dance?
No, it wasn't the mermaid dance. I'm thinking about when you were younger, and then it was just parent observation day, and then you spent the whole time behind the ballet bar doing the like you're doing the feet movements, but you're like holding on to the ballet bar. Your face is like under it, behind it, and you just like, you were so shy. I mean, you love the classes, you just hated to perform. So that's funny.
I think that also, like, I'm not very competitive either, and that hasn't helped me with certain extracurriculars, after school activities. The story I thought you were going to tell is, I have a distinct memory, I don't know if it's right, but it was the recital where we were dressed up as mermaids, and I think we were all like, lying on the ground sideways like mermaids, and then one by one we had to run to the front of the stage and like put our hands to our face like we're going like, oh no, I don't remember why, and like look like this to both sides. And I just remember being like, I can't do that, and I think I just remember running up and just kind of being like, look to the left, right, without doing the hand thing. And I wasn't really little, so I don't know if that's a true memory, but that's the memory.
Yeah, you did do that. You were about 5 when you did that, 5 or 6, maybe 6.
Yeah, just too embarrassed to do like the acting. Oh no!
But for practice, you were fine doing it for practice. You just couldn't do it in front of an audience. So I think that was your last dance class. After that, you're like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore.
Well, we're at let me just I quit soccer because I had the ball kicked at me and it knocked the wind out of me. I quit that. I quit horseback riding because I didn't like the competitions. It was too competitive. Actually, the stable that we moved to was too competitive. I didn't like it. And same thing with gymnastics. Once it was like competitions, I was like, nah, I don't like this. So yeah, not really about competition. Let's just all get along.
But when you guys can get pretty competitive with board games and stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, you should see some of my other friends who are actually competitive. I'm pretty chill. I enjoy winning. Fine. But,
Okay, I actually do have a Yarny Bit and Bob, or it could be
Bit and Bob.
It could be my favorite thing. I'm not sure what it is. But I got the newest Patty Lyon's knitting book of tricks. And this just came out, and I've got knitting bag of tricks.
What is it?
And it is, Patty Lyons is a teacher, a knitting teacher, and also a designer. And she's actually pretty well known. And so, and it's just basically tips. And she I haven't read the whole book yet. I've just been like going through it, a little bit at a time, and just explaining, why we're doing our gauge swatches wrong, and just like different way, like casting on, and ways of doing it better. So it's basically stuff like that.
But stuff that you're finding helpful, even.
Yeah. I mean, I skimmed in the back, and there's this one like decrease I want to do. It's the SSK decrease, and however way she's doing it, I'm looking at the photograph. Like her way looks so much neater than the traditional way. So I haven't gotten to that part yet. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Why are we doing our gauge swatches wrong?
We're not making it big enough.
Yeah.
And a lot of people aren't like washing and blocking it. And she explains why we shouldn't be doing like what do you call it? Garter stitch edges on the sides, because a lot of us, and I will do that too, but I kind of make my gauge swatches pretty big. on the edges, because your gauge for the garter stitch is always going to be different from a stockinette. And then the parts where the garter stitch touches your stockinette, the stitches are going to be stretched out in the wrong way. So it's going to affect your overall gauge. So she talks about that, and why you shouldn't be just measuring 2 inches and then doing multiplication. And so I mean, these are a lot of the things. It's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I do that, but I do 3 of those things, but not the 4th one. Stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm excited to get through the book.
Cool. I mean, that's pretty cool that it's like a book of tips and stuff, but it's not necessarily geared for beginners.
No, it's not like teaching you how to knit. It's just, I mean, it's not necessarily saying you're doing it wrong. It says, here's a better way to do what you're doing. So I guess it's a nicer way of saying you're doing it wrong.
Cool.
So yeah, 5 stars. We'll recommend.
Are recommending. You are recommending it.
Yeah. And I think that is it for me. I don't have any other yarny goodness.
Cool. Well, we can say goodbye.
Okay.
So you can find the show notes for this episode and every other episode on our website, which is kcacypodcast.wordpress.com. You can follow us on Instagram also at kcacypodcast. My personal Instagram is Alyson here, and my mom's is upstate_Vib. You can subscribe and like and follow and rate and review and all the things on iTunes, wherever else you listen to podcasts, or on YouTube. You can also join the Ravelry group if you are so inclined. Just search for Keep Calm and Carry Yarn podcast in the groups tab. So thank you for listening.
And remember to keep calm and carry yarn. Bye.